Okay, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Please switch on your videos. Grishma, Ashish, Aishwarya. Aishwarya. Okay. Remember what we learned yesterday? Therapeutic relationship. Raina, tell me any one point from whatever we learned yesterday.
Empathy.
Empathy. Okay. What is empathy, Amal? I taught you a tagline, right? What was that? To be in? To be in somebody else? Hmm. Very careless nowadays. What happened?
Okay.
What is empathy?
And
Hmm.
it's
Ashish. Ah, you know. Do you know what empathy is?
yes,
Yes, then tell me.
and it means to uh, indirectly understand that another person's situation and behaves like uh,
Understand the person's situation from.
uh,
Tell me the difference between empathy and sympathy. That way, I'll understand that you have understood.
ma'am.
Hmm.
Sympathy means just to
Hmm. Just to feel.
uh,
Hmm. Just to
uh,
feel pity. That is sympathy. But for empathy,
uh, we should also help them
we
understand the
can,
feelings.
yes, and we can exactly understand the feelings of that other person. You take the perspective of the other person. Is it because you didn't understand or you didn't read? Is there any problem in the way I teach? No. Okay. If you read, you will get it. Is that so, Amal? Hmm? Tell me, is there any problem? No. Okay. Now, what else did we learn? Unconditional positive regard. What is that, Ashish? I cannot hear you. Still, I can't hear you. No. Still no. I can read from your lips you're telling me hello, but I cannot hear. Just check your audio device once more. Remove it and connect again. Hmm. Now try. No, my dear. Okay, then, Sneha, tell me, what does unconditional positive regard?
It is the therapist have for the client some sort of compassion,
Hmm.
and he don't judge the client. The therapist don't judge the client.
Hmm.
So whatever the client tells, he consider it as it is positive.
Yes. Considers the client as a positive entity. That is unconditional positive regard. Okay, even if the client is a rapist, even if the client is a murderer, even if the client has done some serious harm to others or himself or herself, the therapist should consider the client as a positive entity. Okay, you should not judge the client. That's it. Okay, now today we'll start with the portion type of therapies, different types of therapies. And before we begin the different types, we have 6 points to decide or to help us decide which therapy is best for the client. Understood? Okay, we'll start with that. Though all psychotherapies aim at removing human distress and fostering effective behavior, they differ greatly in concepts, methods, and techniques. Underline those 3 points: concepts, methods, and techniques. These 3 things differ in most of the therapies, in different types. Psychotherapies may be classified into 3 broad groups. Underline: the psychodynamic, behavior, and existential psychotherapies. What do you think psychodynamic deals with?
Ego, superego.
Ego, superego, intrapsychic conflicts, all those things. Childhood traumas, all those things. Now, behavioral. Behavioral perspective. Under behavioral perspective or behavioral theory, what did we learn?
The fundamental unit's response.
Fundamental unitist response. Which theoretical principles comes under that category? In psychodynamic, we have Sigmund Freud's concepts, right? In behavioral, which one?
Operant learning, is it that? Operant learning, conditional learning.
Conditional learning or classical conditioning?
Classic conditioning.
Classical conditioning, operant conditioning, observation learning, all those things. They are the theoretical, that is the theoretical background of behavioral therapies. Then Freud's concepts, that is the theoretical background of psychodynamic therapies. Now one more section is existential psychotherapies. Carl Rogers concept. Then we learned about self-actualization. Remember one pyramid, one triangle, and that the needs, that was by Abraham Maslow. All those concepts comes under existential therapies. Okay. So there are 3 categories or mainly 3 classifications, that is psychodynamic, behavioral, and existential psychotherapies. Then, in terms of the chronological order, psychodynamic therapy emerged first, followed by behavior therapy. It's given behavior therapy, but we also say behavioral therapy. Okay. And while the existential therapies, which are also called the third force, underline existential therapies, it's also called third force. Amal K. Saji, please switch on your video. So which set of therapies or which classification of therapies are called the third force? It is the existential therapies. There are different therapies under that category also, under that classification also. We'll study about that. So the first one or the earliest one was psychodynamic, then the behavioral, then the existential set of therapies. The classification of psychotherapies is based on the following parameters. How do we classify psychotherapies? That is the next 6 points. Who is the cause which has led to the problem? The cause of the problem. What is the cause, or what has led the client to face such a problem? That is the first one, cause. Cause of the problem. So in psychodynamic therapies, what would be the cause? What would cause
Internal conflicts.
Internal conflicts. We call it intrapsychic conflicts. Conflicts between ego and superego. Okay, intrapsychic conflicts, that's a term that you should use. Psychodynamic therapy is of the view that intrapsychic conflicts, that is the conflicts that are present within the psyche of the person, are the source of psychological problems. What about the behavioral therapies? If we are aiming at behavioral therapies, what would be the cause? Think.
wrong ways of responding or learning the behavior.
Yes, wrong ways of learning, wrong techniques used in learning, or wrong forms of learning wrong things. For all those, we use behavioral therapy. Exactly the same. According to behavioral therapies, psychological problems arise due to the faulty learning of behaviors and cognitions. Okay, we can even learn faulty thoughts, right? Suppose, what can we say? One person who was brought up by a person who has very negative thoughts, always negative thoughts. Maybe a child of a depressive mother. And for many years, this mother has had these negative thoughts all the time, and the way the mother speaks to the child, that was also in a very negative manner. So the child must have learned from the mother to think in these ways, to think in all the negative methods or negative ways. Understood? So negative cognitions can also be learned, and bad behaviors can also be learned in faulty learning. That might be the cause of a disorder or a problem for which the client has come to the therapist. Now, the existential therapies postulate that questions about the meaning of one's life and existence are the cause of psychological problems. Means a person is not able to find meaning in his or her life. A person does not know the exact purpose of his or her life. And another thing, that's given. The meaning of one's life and meaning of existence. Why do I exist? What is the purpose of my life? If they don't find proper answer or proper reasons to these questions, that will also lead to certain psychological problems. For those problems, we use existential therapies. Got it? So if it is intrapsychic conflicts, if we understand that it is intrapsychic conflict, we use the psychodynamic oriented therapies. Then if it is faulty learning of a behavior or cognition, we opt for behavioral. And if we think that the person has some existential crisis, existential problem, then we use existential form of therapies. Understood? So depending on the cause, we can classify different therapies. That is the first point. Then how did the cause come into existence? That is the second one. How did the cause come into existence? So here we have found certain causes for the psychological problem, right? And this cause has to arise from a point. Suppose in psychodynamic perspective, intrapsychic conflicts, what might be one cause? Or from where does this cause arise? We have learned that. In stages of development, we learned. Fixations, childhood traumas, unfulfilled desires in the childhood. All those can lead to problems. We learned that, right? For example, addiction, smoking or alcohol addiction. What is the cause if we are looking from a psychodynamic perspective?
Fixation at the oral stage.
Fixation at the oral stage. That's it. Okay. So we have to find out how did the cause come into existence. If we find the cause, then we have to find out from where is this cause coming, or from where did this arise, from which point did it start. That is the second point. How did the cause come into existence? In the psychodynamic therapy, unfulfilled desires of childhood, unfulfilled desires of childhood and unresolved childhood fears lead to intrapsychic conflicts. The behavior therapy postulates that faulty conditioning patterns, faulty learning and faulty thinking and beliefs lead to maladaptive behaviors that in turn lead to psychological problems, which means from the childhood itself. Suppose again the example of the child with a depressive mother. From the childhood itself, this child is having a faulty learning, isn't it? So that also, for that also the base is in the childhood. Base of the cause or base of the psychological problems, it's again in the childhood. Then, the existential therapy places importance on the present, which is the current feelings of loneliness, alienation, sense of futility and of one's existence, etc., which cause psychological problems. In existential therapies, we don't focus much on the past, rather on the present. Why is this person having a problem now? That is the main focus. Because it's about our existence, right? We exist in the present. Although we existed in the past, that's over. Now our existence is in the present. And we don't know if we'll go to the future. Understood? It's a bit philosophical. In existential therapies, it's very much philosophical. So you have to twist your mind and think. Okay. So in existential therapies, in psychodynamic and all, we focus on the past, right? Childhood, that's the past factor. In behavioral also, if the causes are in childhood, then also we focus on the past. But in existential therapies, we focus more on the present. Because we exist in the present, right now. Okay, that is the concept about how did the cause come into existence. Now the third point is, what is the chief method of treatment? So we have found out the cause. See, look at the board. We have found out the cause. Then we have found out from which point this came into existence. This cause came. Then we have to find out what is happening next. That is the treatment methods. So what is the chief method of treatment? Method of treatment. That is the next point, method of treatment. Psychodynamic therapies. In psychoanalysis, what are the methods used? We have studied this also. Please switch on your videos, everyone. Remember, we learned psychoanalysis in the beginning. And we learned the different methods of psychoanalysis. What was it?
Free association,
Free association.
dream analysis,
Dream analysis. Did we learn any other points? No. Okay, that's enough. Free association. What is free association? The client can speak about anything that comes to the client's mind. He or she is not answering to the therapist questions. Rather, it is free associating different concepts in the client's mind. Okay, that is one method used in psychodynamic therapy. Psychodynamic therapy uses the methods of free association and reporting of dreams to elicit the thoughts and feelings of the client. You can underline those 2 points. Reporting of dreams. Write dream analysis there. Last line. Okay, this material is interpreted to the client to help her or him to confront and resolve the conflicts and thus overcome problems. So what the therapist does, or the psychodynamic oriented therapy, in that particular therapy, the therapist interprets the dream for the client. The therapist also interprets the materials in the free association method to the client, which means, suppose if I am the therapist and Grishma is the client, okay, and Grishma is freely associating different things. So I have a record of whatever she has spoken to me, isn't it? She has talked about various concepts, and from that material, from that recorded material of whatever she spoke, I interpret something. I make a meaning out of it and then I present it to her. From whatever you spoke, this and this factors are important. I found problems here and there. These are the problems. These have caused in your childhood, and these have to be solved in this way. I'll interpret it and present it to her. Okay, so that the client can resolve his or her problem. Then in dream analysis also, if the client shares the dream with us, then the therapist interprets that dream, analyzes that dream, then gives a meaning to that dream, then present it to the client so that the client can resolve the problem through subsequent sessions of therapy. That is what happens in psychodynamic. In behavior therapy identifies the faulty conditioning patterns and sets up alternate behavioral contingencies to improve behavior. The cognitive methods employed in this type of therapy challenge the faulty thinking patterns in the client to help her or him overcome psychological distress. Here what happens is the cause is faulty learning, right? Faulty learning of certain behaviors or certain thinking patterns or cognitions. So what happens is certain methods are used in order or applied in order to change these behavior modification methods, or it can be cognitive restructuring. Means if you have certain negative thoughts like black and white thinking, I told you, thinking in extremities. If something good happens to me, I think I'm very good. If something bad happens to me, I think I'm very bad. If this bad events happen all the time in my life and I get very depressed. That is black and white thinking, either good or bad, nothing in between, either black or white, nothing grey. That is black and white thinking in extremities. Okay. Now, if there is a cognitive pattern like that, then in cognitive restructuring, we try to restructure that cognition, restructure that thinking pattern, change that thinking pattern so that the behavior that follows that thought will also change. Got it? Okay, that happens in behavior and cognitive therapies. Then third one, the existential therapy provides a therapeutic environment which is positive, accepting and non-judgmental, just like the concepts we discussed in therapeutic relationship. Then the client is able to talk about the problem and the therapist acts as a facilitator. The client arrives at the solutions through a process of personal growth. I told you in existential therapies, the client has the main role, or the client takes the lead always, or in most cases. There are directive therapies. They are called directive therapies. In the starting we talked about directive and indirective. No. Sorry, I made a mistake there. Existential therapies are non-directive, which means the therapist will not direct. Instead, the client will take the lead. Therapist just acts as a facilitator. The client will speak more, the client will set goals. The therapist acts as a facilitator or just gives an assistance to see or check if the client is going in the right path or not. That's all. But in psychodynamic and behavioral, when we discuss this itself, you might have understood. It's the therapist who has the main role. Therapist interprets the dream, therapist interprets the free association material, therapist gives the goals for behavioral therapy, therapist sets the goals or aims for the cognitive therapy and all the things. Okay, so in existential, note that, that's very important. In existential therapies, always the therapist is a facilitator and the client has the main role or the lead role. Okay, so first one, what is the cause? Then where did this cause come from? What is the or how did the cause enter into the scene? Then we relate to what is the chief methods of treatment, which are the methods used in different treatments. Then what is the nature of the therapeutic relationship between the client and the therapist? That's the next point. Therapeutic relationship. How is the therapeutic relationship between the therapist and the client? Psychodynamic therapy assumes that the therapist understands the client's intrapsychic conflicts better than the client, and hence it is the therapist who interprets the thoughts and feelings of the client to her or him so that he or she gains an understanding of the same. Just as we told before. Okay, the client has a passive role there. The therapist is the one who interprets all the things. Then the behavior therapy assumes that the therapist is able to discern the faulty behavior and thought patterns of the client. It further assumes that the therapist is capable of finding out the correct behavior and thought patterns which would be adaptive for the client. Both the psychodynamic and the behavior therapies assume that the therapist is capable of arriving at solutions to the client's problems. As I told before, in both these therapies, that is in psychodynamic and behavioral, what happens is it is assumed that the therapist knows better than the client. Okay, and therapist is the one who should take the main role or the lead role. The therapist understands the client situation. The therapist is the one who helps the client to reach the solution or gives the solution to the problems. But in existential, in contrast to that, in existential, the client is the one who has the main role. Okay, client is the one who gets the lead role. It is given in the next portion. In contrast to these therapies, the existential therapies emphasize that the therapist merely provides a warm, empathic relationship in which the client feels secure to explore the nature and causes of her or his problems by herself or himself. Which means the therapist, I told you, therapist is just a facilitator here. And the therapist does not have the main role like the other ones, like the psychodynamic or behavior therapies. So here what happens is therapist makes or sets a warm environment for the client so that the client can dig deep into the problems, understand himself or herself more, and then find the solutions to the problems on his or her own. The therapist is just trying to facilitate, act like an enzyme, just to speed up the process. That's it. You know what enzymes are? In biology or science you didn't study? Enzymes? No. Yes, okay. So that is about the nature of the therapeutic relationship between the client and the therapist. So in which therapy is the the therapist acting as a facilitator? Which classification of therapies?
Existential.
Existential. And the other two, the therapist takes the main role. Fine. Now the fifth point, what is the chief benefit to the client? If we know the cause, then we can find out what is the main benefit, right? If it is intrapsychic conflict, then the benefit is solving that intrapsychic conflict, resolving the fixations and all those things like that. Psychodynamic therapy. Can anybody read? Amal, can you read? Amal Raj. Fifth point. Yes.
Psychodynamic theories. Psychodynamic therapy values emotional insight as the important benefit that the client derives from the treatment.
Underline emotional insight. Okay.
Emotional insight is present when the client understand his her or his conflict intellectually, is able to accept the same emotionally, and is able to change her or his emotion towards the conflicts. The client's symptom and distress reduces as a consequence of this emotion side. The behavior therapy considers the changing faulty behavior and the pattern to adaptive ones as the chief benefit of treatment. Instituting adaptive or healthy behavior, and though the pattern ensures the reducing of distress and removing of symptoms. The humanistic therapy values personal growth as the chief benefit. Personal growth is the process of gaining, increasing understanding of oneself and one's aspiration, emotion, and motives.
Yes, existential therapies, they are considered along with humanistic therapies also. Existential humanistic therapies, we call it that. Okay, so in psychodynamic oriented therapies, the goal is emotional insight, which means they have to, the client should reach a point where he or she understands and accepts the emotions that he or she has towards these intrapsychic conflicts, and the client should be able to resolve it, react or respond in a very good manner to those conflicts, and then resolve the conflicts as such, have a better understanding of it, that is intellectual understanding of it, then modify the emotional part of that also. In behavioral therapies, of course, the faulty learning has to be changed, so behavior modification occurs. If there is a bad behavior that exists, then the behavior is changed, that's it. And if there is a cognitive pattern that is causing this faulty learning or faulty behavior, then that cognitive pattern is also modified or restructured or changed. Okay. And next, existential ones, again, growth and development of the person, reaching self-actualization, all those is the focus of existential therapies. Finding meaning in life, finding purpose in life. That is how the person, the client benefits. Now the last point, what is the duration of treatment? In the beginning I told you, based on the duration, if the client is available for particular time, if the therapist is available for this particular time, and can the client come for therapy, come for different sessions for a long period of time or a short period of time. Based on that also we can decide which therapy is to be done, based on the cause, plus based on where the cause is coming from, based on the nature of relationship, and also based on the time period that we have for therapy. Okay, so that is the last one. What is the duration of treatment? Raina, please read.
What is the duration of treatment? The duration of classical psychological analysis may continue for several years. However, several recent versions of psychodynamic therapies are completed in 10 to 15 sessions. Behavior and cognitive behavior therapies as well as existential therapies are shorter and are now completed in few months.
In few months. So psychodynamic ones take the longer periods to complete actually. If it is done in real, then it takes so many years to complete actually for the sessions, because it involves so many sophisticated methods like free association and all, isn't it? And behavior therapy and all is comparatively easy. I would say it is comparatively easy because we have to set certain goals and it's very much practical for the client to follow also. Okay, so that is the difference. Psychodynamic ones need more time, and there are several modifications for psychodynamic ones. That is why they are said they have been completed in 10 to 15 sessions, but I don't know how much effective they would be. Okay, just like we have exceptions for all the cases, in this also we have, that is the 10 to 15 sessions, but generally psychodynamic is the longest. It takes more time, psychodynamic oriented therapies. Okay, now the conclusion. Thus, different types of psychotherapies differ on multiple parameters. However, they all share the common method of providing treatment for psychological distress through psychological means. The therapist, the therapeutic relationship, and the process of therapy become the agents of change in the client. Underline that. The three agents of change, leading to the elevation of psychological distress. The process of psychotherapy begins by formulating the client's problem. Steps involved in the formulation of a client's problem are given in box 5.1. Do we have time to complete? Till what time is the class? 10:10. Okay, so we'll see the box and finish. Steps in the formulation of a client's problem. Before we begin that, we'll just summarize. What all did we learn? What were the points? We started with the cause. What is the cause of the particular psychological problem? Then, after that, what was the second point? Second point, read.
How did the cause come into existence?
How did this cause come into the scene? From which point or from where did this come? How did this come? That is the second point. Now the third one. Read.
What is the chief method of treatment?
Chief methods of treatment. After we find the cause, we cannot sit idle, isn't it? We have to take methods. We have to start treatment. So we have to decide which are the methods of treatment. Then comes the relationship, therapeutic relationship. So if we have decided the treatment, we start the sessions. So we have the therapist and the client and the relationship among them, the therapeutic relationship. Then after that, what is the chief benefit to the client? So after this, the client, we have to give an end result for the client, isn't it? That is the benefit, the outcome of the therapy. This is the outcome. How does it benefit the client? And finally, last one, what is the duration of treatment? How much did this whole process take you? That is the last one. If you want, you can copy this flowchart in a neat manner, not like this. Okay, so we begin here. Put a 1 here, otherwise you will start from here. So the cause, then how did the cause come here, and then which are the methods of treatment, and how is the relationship, therapeutic relationship, then how does the client benefit, then what is the total duration. That's the last one. For visual and kinesthetic learners, this flowchart is very useful. That's why I told you, if you want, you can draw. When you study these points, first study the points from the textbook, then use the flowchart for memorizing. Okay. For recalling, you can take the help of the flowchart. But when you start studying, don't use the flowchart. Otherwise, you will confuse with the words. Study the 6 points, the headings, and then study the flowchart so that you can remember. Then learn to explain each point. That's the way you have to. Finished? Amal completed? Yes. Ashish, where is Ashish? Left? Network issue. Alvina finished?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Finish it fast. So the next topic, that is just a small portion, that is steps in the formulation of a client's problem. Clinical formulation refers to formulating the problem of the client and the therapeutic model being used to the treatment. Underline that. You all know it. Clinical formulation. How do we formulate the client's problem? That is it. The clinical formulation has the following advantages. Generally, how do you think we formulate a problem? What is the process? A client comes to you. Then what is to be done? Ekna?
Yes, ma'am.
What is to be done when the client comes to you? How do you formulate the case? How do you formulate the problem of the client?
First, try to become friendly. Then
Establish
slowly
rapport.
rapport. Then slowly ask the questions and not force them to say.
Why are you asking questions? What is your aim of asking that question?
So you can get an idea of what is the cause, like how's patient doing right now and in the past also.
Means the problems of the client, isn't it?
Yes.
You have to understand what the client's complaints and the problems are right now. For that, you have to ask and understand. Yes. Then, after that,
After that, we slowly find a way to treatment.
before we find a way to treatment, we have to find out, or we have to keep all these things in order, right? Like, we have heard so much from the client about the childhood, about the present, about the hopes about future, then what all were the problems. If there are multiple problems and we have to deal with that, we have to decide which problem is to be dealt with first, which is the most serious one, which is a symptom to be treated first. Do we need help from others? We have to understand all these things, right? And we have to decide which symptom of the client is to be targeted first, or which one is to be given treatment first or therapy first. For that, we have to put all these things in order. That is the second, that comes as a second part. So first one is as given here, understanding of the problem. Then identification of areas to be targeted for treatment in psychotherapy. Which are the areas to be targeted? If a person has interpersonal problems, like they lack social skills, they don't know how to speak with other people, speak to other people, how to engage in conversations. So for that, we keep a target that this is the client's problem and we have to target this. The therapy has to focus on this of social skills of the person. We give social skills training to the person. Understood? That's how we do it. Then finally, choice of techniques for treatment. Which are the choices of treatment that we can opt for? We decide that. Okay, Elvina finished drawing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So, please read the first point, Aishwarya.
Understanding of the problem. The therapist is able to understand the full implication of the distress being experienced by the client.
What are the general signs and symptoms shown by the client? What are the problems that the client is going through? You have to, or the therapist has to understand that problem. Then, second one, who will read? Meghna.
Identification of the areas to be targeted for treatment in psychotherapy. The theoretical formulation clearly identifies the problem areas to be targeted for therapy. Thus, if a client seeks help for inability to hold a job and reports inability to face superiors, the clinical formulation in behavior therapy would state it as lack of assertiveness, skills, and anxiety. The target areas have thus been identified as inability to assert oneself and heightened anxiety.
Did you understand that example? One person is not able to hold a job and is facing problems to face the superiors, the superior authorities, the boss or the colleagues in the higher levels of authority in the job situation or in the occupation setting. So you can, based on behavioral therapy, if we are choosing that, then we can understand that it is because of lack of assertiveness. If the superiors come and bully this person at workplace, this person cannot react to that in a good way, or they cannot withstand that situation. They lack certain skills. What do we call that skills? Assertiveness. Life skills. In life skills we learn that, right? Assertiveness. Then also one problem is they have anxiety, heightened anxiety. They might. Okay. So identification of the areas to be targeted. So in this case, in the case of this person, we need to target the anxiety as well as the assertiveness factor. So we have to give them assertiveness training also along with the treatment for or the therapy for anxiety, for reducing anxiety. Now the third one is choice of techniques for treatment. The choice of techniques for treatment depends on the therapeutic system in which the therapist has been trained. However, even within this broad domain, the choice of techniques, timing of the techniques and expectations of outcome of therapy depend upon the clinical formulation. The clinical formulation is an ongoing process. Underline that. Formulations may require reformulations as clinical insights are gained in the process of therapy. Usually, the first 1 or 2 sessions yield enough clinical material for the initial clinical formulation. It is not advisable to start psychotherapy without a clinical formulation. So, what does that mean? Choice of techniques for treatment. We suppose if I am trained only in doing behavior therapy and I badly want to do psychodynamic therapy, can I do that? No, only a well trained individual can do it. So we can choose if according to the convenience of the therapist also, as long as it is applicable to the client. Okay, and in the last section you can see clinical formulation is an ongoing process. What does that mean? Suppose I made a diagnosis today that is an anxiety disorder. Suppose it is general anxiety disorder. Okay, and throughout the process, when I reached the midway, I understood that the client also has symptoms for OCD. So I can reformulate. Either I can give a second diagnosis or I can include that as a comorbid condition. Comorbid means one disorder occurring with the other. Okay, and I can give therapy for that also. So that is an ongoing process, which means the clinical formulation might happen in the midway, might happen at the 3/4, or maybe if we are a bad therapist, then it would happen only at the end. And finally the client would leave us and go to a better therapist. Understood? So in the initial sessions you can get some material with which you can formulate. Only after you get a particular idea of a particular disorder of the person or a specific regarding diagnosis regarding a specific disorder, then only you can start the treatment or the therapy. You can just see the client for one session and the second session you can start therapy. You can't do that. If it is a very minor problem, if just counseling sessions are enough, then that's okay. It's not the case with psychodynamic and other forms of therapies. Okay, so that's it. And from tomorrow onwards, not tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we don't have a class. From next class onwards, we'll start with the types, different types, starting with psychodynamic therapy. If you are not sure about the theoretical concept, please read up and keep. Otherwise, you won't understand what the therapy is or how it works. Okay. Okay then, bye. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.